Hey guys, Max here. In this video, I'm going to go over how I've converted my 3-bedroom, really small house from a liability, which takes money out of my pocket every month, into an income-producing asset that nets me almost $12,000 a year. I'm going to go over each step I've taken and how I was able to do that conversion. So if you guys are wanting to convert your home into an income-producing asset, this video is for you. Let's dive in. The question is your house an asset or a liability? What do you think? Literally 20% of all the dollars ever printed were printed since 2019. Experience. Reading books is great, but learning from your experience is how you do it. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you guys are new here, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are enjoying this video. And without further ado, let's dive in. All right, I'm going to talk about firstly the nuance between renting rooms versus the whole house. Now, I talked about how I've converted my house into an income-producing asset. Now, that doesn't mean I have moved out of the house. Actually, quite the opposite. I've done what's called house hacking, which means I live in the house. However, I rent each and every room out individually to a different person. Yes, it takes a little bit of work, actually a lot of work, depending upon the month really, but it takes some work. But the difference between renting out rooms compared to renting out a whole house is I still live in the house, and it makes my rent or my mortgage, my living expenses, to zero, meaning I don't pay anything to live in my house. That is a sweet perk. So that's the big difference between renting out a whole entire house, having a tenant, one tenant or one family, compared to renting out each individual room. I've rented out the individual rooms and I'm able to charge a premium for it. That's way better in my opinion than renting out the whole house. All right, step number 1 in getting it ready is figuring out if the financial piece makes sense. You don't want to be doing something that you're actually going to go backwards on financially. So I'm going to go through how the finances made sense specifically for my house. All right, simply put, you take the mortgage, which is mortgage is, when it's all said and done, about $1,000. It's a little less, but I round up to $1,000 to make it easy numbers. All right, so then we take the rent, which is the rental income on a monthly basis. That is $1,920. I charge $650, $575, and then $695. You add all those together, and that gets you to the $1,920. Simply put, we take the monthly rent, $1,920, subtract the mortgage, $1,000. $1,920 minus $1,000 comes to $920 positive cash flow. So that means each month I'm taking in, profit-wise, $920. Rent minus the mortgage equals $920. On a yearly basis, if we take the $920, multiply it by 12 months, that comes to $11,040. So that means profit-wise, yearly cash flow, I'm bringing in $11,000, renting out individual rooms. Again, this is different than the renting out the whole house, but the profit comes to $11,000 each and every single year. Now, that is a pretty nice profit on a small 3-bedroom house I have, I would say at least. But what you have to do is make sure, this is where most people mess up, is their mortgage. First off, they buy a house that's too much, they can't afford. I bought a house that I could afford easily by myself. If neither he nor he paid me, I'd still be able to make this $1,000 a month payment. That's the problem. I see people buying houses that are way too expensive for their blood. A lot of people put, my mortgage is $1,600 and the rent I can charge is only $1,200. If we take the rent, subtract it by the mortgage, that's negative $400. That's what you do not want. That means you're in the hole every single month. You don't want that. You want more like this. So if you're thinking about buying a house or already have a house, make sure your mortgage is as small as possible. Buying a fancy house, leave that for later in life. I realize the younger as I'm a little bit younger, on the younger side, not for very much longer, I want to start doing my best to set myself up financially in the future going forward. When you have a really expensive mortgage, that's not what you're going for. When you have an expensive mortgage and you can't rent it for very much, you're going backwards. Make sure your mortgage is as much as possible lower. And here's the thing. Here's the big thing about this whole calculation here, because this $11,000, that's great, but what is that? That is cash flow. The most important thing you can learn from any of my videos is if you can have something that's positive cash flow every single month, that's a good investment. People always say, real estate prices are too high, it's too difficult, fill in the blank with whatever excuse you're thinking of. If it's positive cash flowing and you're able to take a profit every single month, doesn't matter how big the price is, you're having positive cash flow. Positive cash flow is the most important thing, period. There's not even an and. It's the most important thing, period. So if you can have positive cash flow on any investment, no matter what it is a good investment, and it becomes an asset. So here's the big difference. People usually think, well, I have a home. That's an asset. And they tell me my mortgage is $1,200 a month and I'm living there alone, so I'm taking in zero. That means each and every month, $1,200 is going out of their pocket. So what I have to tell them is actually your home is not an asset. It's actually very much a liability. When you are paying money out of your pocket every month, that makes it an absolute liability. I try to keep as few liabilities as possible. Now let's go back to the above example. Bringing in $920 positive cash flow every single month. If that's the case, then the home equals what? It actually does equal an asset because that positive cash flow makes it an asset. So the biggest deal here is make sure the finances are right. You don't want to be going into a place where your mortgage is high. You can't charge enough rent to cover your expenses. That is a loser. Avoid that at all costs. You want, first and foremost, positive cash flow. If you have cash flow, you're on the right path. Okay, so as you can see, the finances are looking pretty darn good. You have to make sure that your mortgage and the rent you're taking in intersect in a way that you are actually making a profit or breaking even. Now, here's the thing. People ask, well, is it okay to break even? Well, here's the thing. Would you rather have to pay the whole entire mortgage on your own or pawn that off on somebody and take that rental income in and put it directly towards your mortgage? So even if it's a break-even situation, you're still going to be ahead when it's all said and done. All right, so that's it. It's really not really that difficult, but it can be difficult if you listen to every single different opinion out there, which is the reason why I want to give you 4 free resources. These 4 resources are the room advertisement, which you will be able to fill and change everything to your specifications. You can type in your location, your things around you, all these things that are necessary. The best thing about this room advertisement is it shows every single thing you actually want in a roommate. I've realized the higher I raise my standards and the more specific I am on the roommate I want with the initial advertisement, the better roommate I get. Because the last thing you want is a roommate that is mediocre and messes with the money part. The more specific I am, the better financial person they are. You want to have that person paying rent on the first every single month, no matter what's happening. That's the first room advertisement. Next is screening questions. I'm going to give you 22 screening questions that will save you so much time on phone calls. You don't want to waste time on people who are simply unqualified. Third is the lease agreement. You definitely need everything in writing to make sure everyone's on the same page. And then last is a roommate agreement, house rules. You want to make sure there are rules so everyone understands. Those 4 resources can be had at the link in description. Click on it below, and I will send those over to you right this moment. If you guys enjoyed that, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye for now.